with Mike's Muck. So today I am in my shop. I'm not out there getting gold because it's kind of cold out. I'm in Colorado. And I got to thinking, well, heck, there's a lot of people this time of the year, a lot of people that buy my pay dirt on eBay. They're either from a state that doesn't have gold, or they're from a state that's cold this time of the year and they just want something to do. They got a little bit of that gold fever and they're trying to get some of that gold. So what I've got here today is I got this one here. I'm not even sure what state it's from, but it's MCD. This is a bag that I picked up, I think, in Alaska that I thought looked good, and I didn't have my pan at the time. And I'm going to show you a little bit of a technique on using a metal pan. And then I got this one out of world famous World Earth Mine Minerals pay dirt out of Wyoming or something. Heck, I don't even know. This stuff came out of the Crow Creek mine. That's from California. And that I got from a guy, he says he's in New Jersey, but I doubt if it's New Jersey gold. So who knows? I'm going to pan through it and we're going to see what we got. I'm going to do a little bit of a fast motion so you don't have to get bored about it. And then I'm going to show some techniques about panning that I learned from my dad, where my dad learned from a guy from the 1800s. So then there's my pay dirt. So a little bit about my pay dirt. I'm probably the only person on eBay that does not add any gold to my pay dirt. I go out prospecting, I find a good spot. I'm always on public land. I don't trespass on nobody's claim. I'm not getting it off anybody else's claim. It's always open area where I'm getting my gold. So I don't add anything to it. You're getting 5 pounds, a 1/4 inch screened, and it's the real deal. It's like if you was in, this one here is from what I call my little mule claim, because there's a little mule there, but it's not really a claim. And so there's gold in it. I test it as I go along, make sure there's gold in it, and it's the real deal. It's what you really find in the field. It's none of this stuff that's already been, here, this is sand. It takes you 2 minutes to pan it, and well, dang, you're done. So that was $30 down the drain. Yeah, you got some gold. You probably got half of what it's worth. But mine would keep you busy. It's going to give you some entertainment more than it's going to give you gold. But you never know about gold, because I'd be panning along and all of a sudden there's a little picker or something. So be watching for that. So here we go. I'm going to put this in fast motion for a little bit, and we're going to pan the heck out of this stuff and see what we can find. All right, I got everything opened up, and pretty cool. So the stuff from Alaska is like a real chalky looking gray, which that's what it was like because I was actually there. Normal looking sand that you find everywhere. That stuff out of Montana looks like topsoil in it with organic, roots and whatnot. This stuff here that I got, there's a chunk of copper in there. So sure where I got that. To tell you the truth, it might have been Arizona instead of working to pan it. Just more normal sand looking stuff. Now this stuff out of California, kind of a white sand with some brown in it. So, and then again, here's this stuff. I don't know if this stuff is coming out of, he's got a picture on his card that this came out of Nome. So let's get after it and see what we can find. Okay, I'm hurrying. I'm going as fast as I can, seeing what's inside these pans of gold and seeing what there is. So just going through it as fast as possible. Super fast panning. I don't think I'm losing that much, but anyways, I'll check my waist there at a later time. But I'm getting pretty good gold right there. And so let's just see how it turns out here, and we'll go from there. See if we got some gold. Okay, so here's the report on everything. The stuff from California was pretty decent. There was some decent stuff in there. The stuff where I'm not sure where it's from, there was a lot. There's probably 30 nice little big size pepper type stuff in there. This Andy K stuff, it was also good. There's actually a picker in there. When you can pick it out of the pan, it's called a picker. So that was a really good one. Actually, I think out of the winter, I would say between Andy K's and this eBay Micro 15 MCD prospecting, there's some nice pieces in there. Now the stuff that was no good, do not recommend. I think what this dude does, this guy out of Montana prospector, it looked like he just took a bunch of topsoil and put it in there, and he put one little tiny flake in there. So gotta be watching out. If your gold's in topsoil like that, it's just like dirty organic topsoil. The gold probably isn't. It's got to be in some sort of silts or gravels or something. And that thing was just nothing but pretty much topsoil. There was a little bit of rock, but it was 80% topsoil. So I think he's going out in his backyard, digging it, and putting a speck in and selling it on eBay. The stuff from Montana or the stuff from Alaska turned out pretty good. I don't know if that would, I'd consider that a picker. I've just picked it. So there's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 10 good pieces out of there, the 2 bags. I mean, it was cost $60 right there. So now it's onto the stuff that I can't remember where I got it. I'm using this tin pan. Now, as you notice, when I'm panning this thing about, and they're washing their material off like that, man, that's the worst thing you can do, especially on some of the stuff I was finding out was pretty flat. And as I went down and I got down to the black sands, even though I was shaking the heck out of it, there was still gold up in the black sands. I run into that a lot in a lot of places I'm prospecting. So you see this is just wrong. And I'll tell you, you can tell somebody that hasn't been panning gold for a long time because they sit there and do that and they're going to tell you, heck, I see it on all the gold shows on TV, all the good guys that are on YouTube, they're doing the same thing over and over like that. They're just doing that. The only time I do that is when I first get my material in there, and here, I'll get some here right away and kind of show you, like this stuff, I can't even remember where I got it. I go travel so much. We'll get to that here in a little bit. So get this nice, and when I'm shaking it, and you're really vigorous about shaking right here. Now at this time, you got a lot of stuff that's just floating in the water. So I just dump in the water. I'm not really getting rid of any sand. And I'll shake it back, clean that stuff up a little bit, and don't let any of the material out of your sand or out of your pan. You're just getting the muddy water out. So you're panning, and when I think I'm down far enough, what I do is I'll start up maybe in this pan, and I'm going to go back and forth like this and drag my pan back. I'm hardly holding on to my pan. I'm letting the pan float kind of like. So what's happening is that rocking motion going back and forth, it's taking the light stuff off. If there's any gold in there at that time that's on top, it's not going to ride on over. It tends to go back down in the riffles. That's why I don't like this big old 2-riffle pan. You get a multi-riffle pan like this S-Wing here, it just works a heck of a lot better. Now I'm going to show you why and how I learned that with this tin pan, because I'm a true tin panner, because I'm going to date myself here a little bit. 2025. I'm just about 61 years old. First time I panned was about 4 or 5 years old. And my dad was a panner. He learned from a guy in Colorado around the Breckenridge area. And that guy was born in the 1800s. And so he taught my dad how to pan. Back in those days, they didn't have plastic pans. So I grew up panning with a tin pan. Now, this is an S-Wing pan. Believe it or not, it's only about a year old, but it's gotten rusty and everything like that. It does have some little riffles in there, but they're nothing. So back in the day, they had no riffles there. So they would have to do this motion like that and watch, and you can see your light stuff just floating right off. So that's why you don't do that, especially in this pan. You'll lose your gold like crazy. So anyways, this stuff was very interesting for me, and I was going to say something about my loop, and I don't even have it here. I usually put it on my neck when I'm doing this stuff, but it looks like I'm going to have to save it here. Some good quartz in here. So let that be a lesson to you. You don't have your loop and you got a pan full of stuff here. And I got some copper there. So I'm going to imagine I got this in Arizona. But anyways, you just kind of go like that and wash the heavy stuff off, and then get your water. If you got some big rocks, you rake your rocks back just lightly, the top of them, and then you'll look at them. Since I don't know, see, there's a lot of quartz here. So I'm going to save this for later, so I can look at it with my loop and see if there's a reason I picked this up and I just don't remember. I travel so much. So anyways, I hope that helps you out on your panning. And you're not going to make it a lot of money panning, but you're going to be able to test out there, and then you can figure from how many cubic yards you need to move and how much that's going to pay. And if you can figure out, how much, what kind of piece of equipment or whatever you're going to have, and your trommel or your sluice box or whatever operation you got, that'll tell you, you can figure about how much it's going to cost you to get that gold out of the ground. So develop your own panning methods. I hope that I helped you on this. Don't forget, I didn't have my jet dry, so I used a little bit of dish soap in here, and that'll help relieve the tension and the dissolved solids. Now, please don't use this in the rivers. This is very harmful to fish. If you're just going to use it in the river and everything, you don't need it. It's not, as long as that river's running, it ain't going to have tension in your pan all the time. So you don't need to use that stuff. I think that's about all I got covered. So stay tuned, and I'm going to throw up some pictures of what you can buy on eBay, and keep watching Mike's Mud. Catch you next time. On eBay, I've got S-Wing gold pans, and you can also find the Bear Iron Works screen. And then I make these rock crushers. You can make it yourself. I got all the parts. And here's some fake gold nuggets to fool your friends.
Mike's Muck Pay Dirt is the best.